So conceptually, if you think about the baseball swing and all the things that happen there, it's a habitual motion, routine type stuff. And the challenge, the challenge is not necessarily the physical. It's letting go. So your neural pathways open. You have to be able to let go. And this is the layer that I want to add to it. We're all holding on to something, Bobby. Like when we're taking a golf swing, when we're taking a baseball swing, when we're walking, we're all holding on to something. And most of that is fear, right? It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of failure.
I think you can go even deeper than that.
I
think you can go even deeper than that. Say it's like a survival thing.
Sure.
If you hear a lion roar, you better start moving. You don't want to train yourself to not move if there's a lion.
Yeah, fight or flight type reflexes and instincts.
I think it's that deep where you learn how to do certain things and that becomes who you are. Yeah.
I agree. Now, what I'll say is from my perspective, right? I had those same fears. Block neural pathways. I only knew how to swing one way. It felt foreign to me to be able to swing another way. I was terrified because of the things that I thought I knew about hitting, about what making a swing change would lead to. I thought I would end up swinging and missing. And it was crazy because as soon as the click happened, as soon as that moment happened where the training translated into the game, I was off to the races. And from that day on, I've never been fearful of making any kind of change. Like I could swing in 714 different patterns right now, or I could try 952 different concepts and none of them would bother me, and I would be able to do. So if you told me to do something, if you said, hey, I want you to think about swinging straight down at this ball, I could do it. And I could do it with some sort of urgency or speed. And it's all because I've let go of that fear, because everything that I thought I believed in originally kind of proved itself the opposite. So I felt the thing work and I went, oh my God, I have to open my mind up to trying new things. And now, not to say that it's going to happen overnight, but certainly you can train yourself to create thoughts that allow you to move differently, I think, or I've experienced.
There's one Votto clip where he talks about being able to do whatever you want. He's like, if you want to be a good hitter, you have to be able to do whatever you want. And I've always liked that because you're not trying to create one swing. You're trying to create control of your swing. You're trying to create, like, back control is ability to do whatever you want whenever you want. And if your skill, technique, if your process for swinging about is too rigid, then you can't do stuff. You can't move. And that's one of my biggest issues when people try to label me as like a internet hitting guy and they think I'm like teaching one thing. And I always go back to timing component where you have to be on time for release and you have to be on time for contact, and the time between those 2 points will always change. It's all about creating movements that are fluid and dynamic and responsive, not like execute this swing perfectly. It drives me crazy. What you were saying about letting go, I love that phrasing, and just allowing yourself to do something different. The wording that I would always use in the cage with hitters was go so far that you think is wrong. It's wrong. Yep. Like absolutely. Don't try to do it right. I want you to try to do it wrong, because until you let your brain say, all right, I'm going to try to do something completely so different that it's wrong, that's when you start seeing changes. And if you just won't get big change unless you give hitters permission to do that. And to be like Madrigal, he's in the big leagues trying to do this. So you better have support from your organization, because if you're hitting 150 through a month of the season, you're going to get sent down. You're going to ruin your career. It's crazy to me.
Here's the crazy part about it, right? So amongst all our college guys that I built a relationship with and they're consigliere throughout the year, there's a couple of them who had really, really good starts, right? Really, really, really good starts. And you're sitting there going, keep going, just keep going, just keep going, right? So now your work is justifying that you're doing the right thing. Your performance matches what you thought you should be doing. Your training is right. Your swing is right. Okay, good. Now, all of a sudden, all these different factors show up every day, meaning whether, you could be a freshman who's never experienced running the marathon, because now it's a marathon. Well, it's a half marathon compared to the sprint that you were running in high school, right? And now all of a sudden things start to go, like, they just start to leak a little bit. Either you're a little more tired, stressed out, whatever. You're playing with these expectations, and before you know it, crash, right? And now you don't know where to go. You don't know where to turn. You know, you could be a sophomore who starts out really well, and then you start to, like, you know, you go from 430, 440 to 400 to 380, and now you start thinking, oh my God, why do I stink? Why? And these are the parts that are incredible, that are just so fascinating to me, because it happened to me multiple times. Like, I had great starts that led to mediocre first halves, and I had great starts that led to incredible years. And you start to connotate and associate the ability to get hits to what you're doing being right. And don't get me wrong, Bobby, it is about the ability to get hits. You have to be able to get hits. But the way you get hits is to be able to make adjustments in the moments when you need to. It's not by continuing the same. And look, I'm a routine guy. I believe in routines and all that stuff. And I love what Jeter said about having routines and being able to stay the course. But the routine is more about the mental process than it is about, it's about mental consistency and the ability to show up. You have to make adjustments. When the game's telling you your swing's messed up, you have to make adjustments. You have to make adjustments. And you have to identify them even when you're having success, right? Case in point, and I don't want to talk about who it was specifically, but 3 weeks ago, a dude who I thought was immune to this stuff, right? I thought he was immune to seeing into the future, and I thought he was immune to... I stopped thinking he was human, because he just took all the emotion out of what he was doing all the time. And he had an okay series, but it was wet, right? Like, it was like duck fart to right, hook ground ball. And I was like, man, that wasn't good. But you survived it, so you think to yourself, okay, he's going to go back to the drawing board, and the next week's going to be good. Next weekend, 0 for the weekend. You're like, okay, he's going to be all right. He's going to figure it out. I asked him if he was all right. Cool. Next weekend, 2 for the weekend. So now, over 2 weekends, it turned into 2 for 29. Right? Into this weekend, 0 for 4 game 1, 2 for 33. 0 for 3 game 2, 2 for 36. Right? Because none of the adjustments got made. Because it was, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and try to continue to make it happen. And this is where you get lost. These are the places where you get lost, because now you just think you're the worst hitter ever, when really you just had an extended bad stretch that you're hitting what you're supposed to be hitting. You're hitting 300 instead of 480 or whatever. Now, you don't want it to be a 2 for 36, but this is how you learn, because if you don't make your adjustments even when you're having success, and you don't allow yourself to make changes even when you're going through this stuff, this is where it all comes from to me. This is the mind stuff that people can't possibly understand, because if you're not getting the results on the field, it's almost impossible to convince yourself that you're doing things right.